Hello everyone, welcome to Stephen Fuller Pastels. I'm Stephen Fuller and it's lovely to have you along today. If you're joining me from YouTube, fantastic, glad you could come along, and if you're joining me from my Patreon page, thank you so much for your support. Now today I thought we'd do something a little bit different. I thought we'd have a look at colour schemes and palettes and see how you can use these to make an informed choice about introducing different feelings and moods and techniques into your artwork. You hear a lot about split complementaries, complementary schemes, triadic, tetradic, dyadic. I'm going to explain today what all of those mean and how you can use them. If you enjoyed today's video, by all means please give it a like and a subscribe to my channel if you fancy it. And if you'd like to do some more of my more in-depth tutorials, please pop along to my Patreon page and I'll put the link up in a moment or two. Okay then, so I hope you're looking forward to it. Let's dive on in and have a look at some colour schemes and palettes that you can use in your work. So our first colour scheme that we're going to have a look at is a monochromatic colour scheme, and I've put this up on the screen now. A monochromatic colour scheme just uses one hue. You use lots of tones of the hue, but it's just one hue that you're going to use in your picture. And you can spin that arrow that I've got on the screen at the moment anywhere you want on the colour wheel, but you're just going to use the hue that you land on. Okay, so what does a monochromatic colour scheme do for us? Well, it's very good at generating mood and emotion. You've stripped everything back and all you've got left is the colour that you've chosen, and you know some colours invoke a mood in you, and you've taken away all the distractions. We're going to be using pure tone when we use a monochromatic colour scheme, so the lights and the dark drive the whole picture and there's no distraction from the colour. And it allows us to focus on the compositional elements, the things we've put in there, the story that we're telling. It's the artistic equivalent of a photographer using black and white. And you'll know when you look at all the arty photographs that are posted online, the ones that are the most powerful are often done in just one tone, in that black and white or perhaps sepia. So let's have a look at a couple of pictures that have been done in a monochromatic colour scheme. Here we can see the first one I'm going to show you, which is called You Are Your Own Gatekeeper. And you can see I've only used blues in this, from the darkest blue from the unison range down to an almost white blue from their light range here. And you can see it's a very powerful picture. It invokes a sense of mystery and mood, and you're not distracted by colour, you're only looking at the compositional elements in that one. Similarly this one, which is a very peaceful scene, I've only used a sort of orangey brown colour in this one and the different tones of it, and it makes the picture more powerful as a result. If I'd have used different colours on it, it would have been a nice beach scene, but it wouldn't have carried the emotional resonance with it. So that's the first one, a monochromatic colour scheme. Now we're going to have a look at an analogous colour scheme. Now an analogous colour scheme takes that central monochromatic colour that we chose earlier, but now what it also does, it adds hues either side of it as well, so you get either 2 or 3 separate hues that combine together. And as before, you can spin that to any part of the colour wheel you want and use those 2 or 3 hues in your analogous colour scheme. So what does an analogous colour scheme do for us? Okay, it's very calm and peaceful, it's not jarring, it's not too energetic, it invokes a mood and a feeling of peace. And again, it's very good for generating moody pieces, and it's naturally harmonious. You tend to use an analogous colour scheme when you want a peaceful scene. So let's have a look at a couple now. The first one, which is called The Long Walk Home, you can see I've used those lovely indigos, those lovely violets in this one, and they work together really harmoniously and create quite a peaceful scene. Now in this one, which is a woodland scene, you can see it's quite tonally varied, so you get quite a striking piece, but I've gone through the yellows to the greens to the blue-greens in this one, and you can see it's a peaceful woodland scene and it's good at generating mood again. So that's our analogous colour scheme. Next one we're going to have a look at is a complementary colour scheme. Now a complementary colour scheme uses colours on the colour wheel that are directly opposite each other. Okay, so what does a complementary scheme do for us? A complementary scheme gives us a maximum visual contrast and such a lot of pop and energy. When you're putting one colour against the one that's opposite on the colour wheel, you get lots of dynamism, lots of energy, and that can generate a strong emotional response in you. And it's also very good at illustrating the focal points in your picture. If you put the complementary colour with a background to it, you'll get a good striking contrast and you'll see that focal point that you're looking to generate. Let's have a look at some examples. In this one, when fire met ice, I've got the orange against the blue, and you can see it's very dynamic, very striking, very powerful. And the message I wanted to send in this one was that when two couples of different characters meet, often they clash and they fight for dominance, whereas you can see the sort of slightly purpley colour I've just hinted at in the middle there. Compromise is always the way forward. Okay, similarly in this one, this could be a very, very peaceful scene if I'd gone for an analogous colour scheme, but I've got yellows against violets in this one, and it generates a sense of dynamism in the piece. It adds a little bit of a sense of energy. So again, this is a complementary colour scheme. I'm going to show you one more in this type of picture, which is called Embers. It's a recent piece. Now you might at first glance think this is an analogous colour scheme. I've gone sort of for yellows and the reds and the oranges there in the fire. But what's a little bit more subtle in this piece is that the background, the dark, is the darkest of the blues. It's got a little bit of black mixed in with it, but it's predominantly a very, very dark blue. And that works really, really well against that orange, and it gives that fire a little bit more energy. So it pops just a little bit more because I've got the complementary colour there up on the scheme. So there you go, that's a complementary colour scheme, and it can be very powerful. So let's have a look at the next one, which is a derivation of this one really. This is a split complementary. Now what you do with a split complementary, you have your primary colour there, which on our screen is this sort of yellowy colour. Then opposite it, instead of having violet, you move to hues either side of the violet, so you just split that complementary a little bit. Again, you can spin this wherever you want on the wheel. You don't take the split element too far apart because you generate a different colour scheme that we're going to see in a minute, but hues just each side of the complementary to the other colour that you're using. So what does this do for us? It gives you that energy and that visual contrast and that pop, but the second thing it does is not quite so jarring as a straight complementary. Because you've split the complementary colour, you get just a little bit more harmony, it's a little softer, and it's a real joy to use this colour scheme. Here you go, so we'll have some examples now. So in this one, I've got the wave there, and it's a really intense blue wave that I've done. I've put some dynamism in it because I've got an angle. And what I've also used is the split complementary. I've got yellows and reds in the foreground there, you can see. And whilst that does increase the dynamism and the energy even more, it's not too jarring. If I'd used just orange, it would have fizzed, but it wouldn't have been quite so good. It wouldn't have been as harmonious. And this picture is slightly more powerful and strong because I've used it as a split complementary rather than a direct complementary. And you can be a little bit subtle about it as well. In the next one, this is also a split complementary colour scheme. Now, so I've got a bluey green and an indigo violet as my split elements of the complementary. And what I could have done, I could have kept it at that, and that would have been a lovely analogous peaceful colour scheme. But I wanted a little bit of a pop in it. So what I've done, I've gone for the orange, a very light tone of orange there at the light source, and that is the complementary to those two splits. And that generates just that little bit more energy that I wanted in the picture. And so this split complementary is slightly more subtle, but it does introduce that little fizz and that little bit of a pop into it. So our next colour scheme we're going to have a look at is a dyadic colour scheme. Now this is a split complementary colour scheme, but you've taken away the complementary. So what you've got here is two hues that you're going to use, which is where the dye comes from, either side of your primary hue that you don't use. So what does this do for us? This gives you a subtle harmony. You get a nice piece. It's like an analogous colour scheme, but it's got slightly more engaging. It's more for your brain to do to work out what's going on because you're missing out a colour that's in the middle. And it mimics nature. You see lots of dyadic colour schemes in nature as well. So it's a really powerful one you can use, and you generate that lovely, beautiful, subtle harmony, and it's very engaging for the viewer to look at. And we'll have a look at a couple of pieces now. Here you can see I've used a very orangey red, so a yellow red, and I've used an indigo-y, violet-y colour there, which both of these sit either side of the red colour. And so the picture shapes reddish at you, but there's no red in it, and it's very harmonious, it's engaging, and it's a joy to look at because you've got that dyadic colour scheme. Similarly, in the next one, this piece is called Where the Wind and Stones Share Secrets. I've got a greeny blue and I've got a reddy blue tending towards the indigo that I've used in it, and that's a dyadic colour scheme. So the central colour would be blue, but there's not any blue in this picture, and once your brain's going, I see blue, it doesn't really. It sees those two dyadic elements which are harmonious, and it gives you a lovely subtlety to your picture. I quite enjoy using the dyadic colour scheme. I've been experimenting with it quite a bit recently. So now we're going to move on to a triadic colour scheme. Now, a triadic colour scheme is a little bit like a split complementary, but what you've done is, on the split, you've pushed that wider, so all three arrows are 120 degrees apart. And what this does to you, it gives you a great balance to your piece. It's vibrant because you're using colours from all around the colour wheel, and it's very versatile. You can use this in lots of ways and make your palette, your colour scheme work for you. So yes, a triadic colour scheme. Let's see a couple of examples. Here we go. In this piece here, I've got blue, red and yellow, the three primary colours that I've predominantly used. And you can see it is a nice vibrant picture, there's lots of energy in it, and it's interesting and engaging. And there's a nice balance because I've used colours from all around the colour wheel. Now, if I rotate this around to this piece, I've got orange, violet and green are the predominant colours in this one. And again, it's energetic, it's vibrant, and it's balanced. And I just shifted that triadic scheme round from the previous picture that I showed you. Now again, as with all these colour schemes, you can be a little bit subtle if you wish to be. Here, a picture that we've done recently in one of my tutorials, which is called Dawn Glow. This is a triadic scheme. In this one, I've used light tones of yellow, blue and red, and I'm mixing them visually, as you'll probably remember from our tutorial. Mixing them visually, I get a very vibrant, a very bright white glow in this, and that's a great use of the triadic scheme as well. And I could have used the violet, the green and the orange as well, and generated an intense light like there is in this picture as well, but with the secondary colours. So the triadic scheme, a very versatile, very vibrant, very useful colour scheme that you can use. Now we're going to move on one step further. What we're going to look at now is a tetradic colour scheme. Now what a tetradic colour scheme, it uses four colours. And so what you've got, if you look at the screen there, and you can see the rectangle shape that I've drawn around your colour scheme, is you've got two pairs of complementary colour schemes. So what does this do for us? So a tetradic colour scheme is just like a complementary scheme. It's really vibrant, it's really high energy, and it's dynamic. If anything, it could be more dynamic than a complementary colour scheme because you've got two pairs of them. And if you look online and you research the tetradic colour scheme, it often says you need to be really careful when using this colour scheme that you don't generate visual chaos. Now I like a bit of visual chaos, so I suggest you go and experiment with that and see if you enjoy doing it as well. So a tetradic colour scheme, a pair of complementary colours, or two pairs of complementary colours at some point in the colour wheel that you're using to generate pure dynamism. So the first piece we're going to look at is a tetradic colour scheme, and what I've got here, I've got red and green and yellow and violet, and as you can see I'm visually mixing them all up there in the sky, and they've got a big block of green in the water and those big blocks of that violet colour in the mountains, and indeed also there's a very dark indigo-y violet colour in the trees in the foreground. So a tetradic colour scheme here, and you can see it's very dynamic and it's quite powerful. Okay, we're going to move on slightly with this tetradic colour scheme now, and what we're going to have a look at is a square tetradic colour scheme. And it's exactly the same as the first tetradic we looked at, which was rectangular, except now you've put all the colours 90 degrees apart. And so what does this do for you? If anything, I think this generates more energy and more power than a standard rectangular tetradic. We'll have a look at some pictures now. Here you go. In this one, I've got red against green and I've got blue against orange. And you can see it's a highly dynamic, powerful piece. Now, as I mentioned before, if you do the research, it says you've got to be very careful with the tetradic colour scheme. And what I've done in this one, I've also used lots of neutral greys, just to try and take the edge off it and to try and avoid that total visual chaos that they warn you about. So I've put the square tetradic colours here against a grey background, and I think it sort of works here, and it is a powerful piece. So, and the last piece I'm going to show you now is another square tetradic here, but I've not used neutrals really. Again, I've got reds against the green, and I've got the blues against the orange. So what I've done here to try and tone it down just slightly is I've got a lot of green and a little bit of red. I've got quite a lot of orange and not too much blue. So the other complementary to each one of the tetradic spurs that I've used here, I've not used too much of it, just to try and avoid saturating the viewer too much. So there we have it. We've had a look at some colour schemes here. We've had a look at the monochromatic, we've had a look at analogous, we've had a look at complementary, split-complementary, dyadic, triadic and tetradic. And I hope you enjoyed our little dive into them, and I hope you enjoyed taking part today. Okay, I think we'll stop there. So I hope you really enjoyed our session today. Thank you so much for taking part. My advice would be, with all of these different colour schemes and things, have a play, have an experiment, see if any of them work for you. You don't have to do any of them at all. You can make your own up. You can do something completely different. That's the joy of art. And so give them a go if it works for you. And now I hope I can see some of your work that you do achieve using them. But if not, you do your own thing as well. That's just as valid. Thank you again so much for taking part. As I said earlier, please give it a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed it and you'd like to see some more. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Happy pasteling.